Hey, what's going on everyone? Today I want to show you all a game where if you're going for a very specific comp and you just can't hit any of the units, what should you do? We start off the game with a Rod off the first minions, and then I pick up the Story Weaver units. Story Weaver and Faded, probably the two strongest things right now. Gonna pick up this Ahri later on. We get a Glove from the Carousel, gonna pick up Kabuko for Fortune potentially. And then we get some extra gold and a last item, which is going to be a bow. So immediately right off the bat, I'm thinking I could go some sort of reroll comp, maybe a Felios, and then one of my friends who was watching me play was like, wait a minute, why don't you just go Lucky Ricochet with Bard? And I was like, yeah, I already have a Rage Blade. Even though I don't have any of the mythic units, I was like a little sketched out, so I wasn't totally in love with this idea. I scout around just to see if there are any Bard players, and turns out, doesn't really seem like anyone is gonna go for this, so I'm like, all right, someone called Duelist, even better shot to go for the Bard comp because that means they're taking Tristanas and the Volibears out of the pool. So I'm like, you know what? I have a Story Weaver start. I could use this to kind of slowly get into some sort of Bard build. So I build the Rage Blade on my Sivir. Maybe I should have put it on Teemo, but you always find another Sivir later on. So eventually I do want to swap this Rage Blade over onto my Bard and then play Sivir. Sivir's good because she gives Story Weaver, obviously Trick Shot, and she gives a nice little attack speed bonus to Bard, which is pretty nice. In our next shop, I don't really see too much to buy, so I just kind of stay put, go up to 10 gold, collect some interest. Potentially we could get maybe a Tristana or a Zoe off of Carousel. That way we could play Fortune for maybe like a couple of turns, nothing too crazy there. Get a nice little gold boost, but we do end up losing that round, but we get this Rakan, 5 gold, or a Recombobulator with magnetic removers. Honestly, you probably could recombobulate this. The thing is, with the Trick Shot emblem, it's very hard to just play down an augment, even though I could get a lot of upgrades, so I opt to go for the gold. This is where the flexible player gets rewarded. Like that duelist player which we fought the round before, he had 4 2-star 1-cost units, and not even that player could take Recombobulate, which is absolutely nuts. I'm facing a Recombobulator right now. This person got Zyra 2, Teemo 2, very good value from that, especially with this augment raining gold. You're gonna have like a ton of gold and probably don't have to spend too much on a board, especially since these units complement each other. Just need to get some Story Weavers in. You could always check, fun fact, on what other people picked on their encounter by going to their board and then clicking the encounter icon like what I just did. And we actually end up stealing a win. So here I'm automatically attracted to this Zoe with Rod, because that gives us half a Rage Blade and it gives us a Fortune. Gonna be a big hit there, but someone takes it, so we go for the bow. The unfortunate thing about Bard is that you need 3 exact items on Bard. You need double Rage Blade, Hextech Gunblade. So obviously Rod's gonna be the best item because you need 3 of them, but didn't end up getting it here. So I go for either red or green normally whenever I play this. I think both are fine. So the argument works both ways. Since Bard does mixed damage, he does both AD and AP damage. So you could say, hey, I get a lot of value from double Shred because he does both types of damage, but you could also say, since he does both type of damage, maybe I don't need Shred because I'm not super reliant on one of them. I think the argument actually works both ways, but getting like regular attack speed from the Kayle also very good, but both are fine. I've seen all the top players, they pick both of them. So if you do end up picking the wrong one, it's really not the end of the world. Always set up your team planner, by the way. This thing is OP whenever you're doing any sort of roll down because you're guaranteed not to miss anything. So whenever you have spare time in the game, set up your team planner. I'm gonna do the default board. You can find the builds on bunnymuffins.lol/meta. I'm pretty much just copying that exact board from there, which is 3 Story Weaver, 3 Mythic. Sometimes you could do 5 Mythic. I think on the website we have 5 Mythic. But before you get to level 8, you like to play Soraka, which is pretty useful because she gives you both Heavenly from Neeko and also Altruist because you're running Riven. But eventually you do want something like 5 Mythic because you want to buff up your Bard as much as possible. We take a loss here, so unfortunate. We went 2 losses, a win, 2 losses. That's really not where you want to be. At least we're able to make 40 gold. And also keep in mind our gold is a little bit higher because of the encounter we faced early on. So we get up to 50 now. I could even sell to level up. I'm a bit slow in doing so, but we also get a sword and a belt from this neutral camp. So sword's obviously good. That's going to be our Hextech Gunblade. So we have half a Rage Blade, half a Hextech Gunblade, and then some extra items. Belt's going to be good for Bard to build some tank items. Let's level up now. Throw in the Neeko, sure. No, there's something better to put in. Let me think. What did I end up playing? I end up throwing a Warden in. Yeah, that's I think the only thing we could put in right now. But we're facing off again. Wow, this person's playing Mythic, but they have a Lilia already. That's crazy. With Invoker Augment. All right, this person's probably going to do pretty well. I forgot exactly what happened in this game, but obviously that is a giga high roll. We really need this Bard or Tahm Kench because we're very low health. So I'm going to do a nice little 3-2 roll down. This is something that's pretty important to do whenever you do a big lose streak. Well, we didn't even big lose streak. We kind of got rocked a little bit. So if you are a very risk averse player, to say the least, like take the heroic grab bag. That's probably what I should have taken, but I wanted to troll a little bit. I wanted to try scoreboard scrapper, and I should have re-rolled the last augment, obviously, but I wanted to do my roll down really quickly. So here I'm thinking, is Teemo 2-star enough to stabilize my board? I wasn't incredibly sure, so I think I needed to roll down a bit more. I see a double Gnar, so I'm like, all right, whatever. Surely here I can stop and hopefully econ back up, find the Bard and Tahm Kench later. I also end up selling the Sivir, so I swap the items over onto Teemo. One thing to keep in mind is that a lot of people, when they do their 3-2 roll downs, they roll really deep and they only buy champions that they put in the team planner. And oftentimes this is enough to get away with in a lot of games, but if you're trying to like really maximize everything or like optimize everything, like sometimes you have to buy other units and kind of settle for not exactly what you're looking for just to survive all the way until stage 4, because that's what the goal of the 3-2 roll down is. It's not to find your final comp. A lot of people like using it to get to Bard 2-star, Tahm Kench 2-star by rolling all the way to 0. And sometimes that does work out, but it's not something you should set your expectations to either. So here I'm going to get the gold again. The remover, while nice, I'm already going to sell all the units that are holding items right now, and I don't really think there's much to do. If I was playing more flexibly, maybe I would go for the item remover, but if you're hard forcing a comp, like the items go on whoever they're supposed to go on, right? There's really not too much else to say about that. But we are going to be, I think, losing to this Ghostly player. Very, very awful position we're in right now. I thought we had stabilized with a 2-star Teemo backline, 2-star Gnar frontline. Normally that's kind of enough considering we have 2 Warden and 2 Trick Shot, which is what they are. But I'm going to go for the Spat here if we're able to get it. Actually, no, there's a Bard with bow there. This one was tough. Like, normally you'd go for Spat, but Bard was looking real juicy. Another thing I probably should have taken over the Bard is even a Rod so that I could complete some of these items, but I think this is one of the rare situations where red buff on Bard might not be so bad. The reason why is because we have Lucky Shot. Lucky Shot makes you bounce 1 more square, so it's essentially having 4 Trick Shot while only having 2 Trick Shot. You get like an extra little Trick Shot thing. So red buff is going to spread a little bit faster. We're going to be missing the item remover here. That would have been very useful instead of selling the Teemo. Then we're just going to throw some random unit in, and hopefully this is going to be enough to stabilize us. Now, we got a little bit lucky hitting the Bard 2 pretty quickly, but we did roll a bit at level 6. We did roll a bit just now, so you could argue like maybe we got unlucky before, you know? But Bard is going to do a little bit of work. The only thing that's lacking right now is our front line, and that is not good because whenever you do a Rageblade build, frontline is so important, and we have not seen a single Tahm Kench. So despite hitting our 2-star carry, we're actually going to end up losing this round, which really does not feel good. We see a Zoe in our next shop, that's nice. But right now we're at 38 HP, no Tahm Kenches, only 3 Bards. This is why you don't force a comp from 2-1 when you don't have copies of the units. I really should not have listened to my friend in hindsight, and the reason why is pretty simple, right? He's around like, I think, Diamond 2 right now, and normally because of the rank reset, he'd be around like GM based on his current rank. I think he's like top 500 or something like that. So I was like, you know what, I'll just try it. It's not like he's like a bronze player or something like that. No offense to bronze players. I had never played with this Lucky Trick Shot augment before, so he was telling me it's good. And since we had the Rage Blade, I was like, all right, sure. But like, I wasn't feeling it, just to kind of set the record straight there. So normally I always say only go for a comp if you actually have the units to go for it. I guess the other scenario would be if we had 3 items for Bard, but we only had 2. But we get something weird here during the roll down. So we get Kai'Sa and we get this Xayah Rakan combo. So I'm thinking like, wait a minute. We don't really have any Tahm Kenches, so we just can't do the Tahm Kench Bard comp. So I'm pretty sad right now. I was thinking building Gunblade on Bard. I probably should not have put any items on him. I think at this point I should have just realized to pivot off and go into some sort of Kai'Sa or Xayah build, because Bard's over. Like, I'm not going to have Mythic ticking or anything like that. It's going to be too late. And because of that, the build turns into something a little bit different. Normally when you do Rageblade, the reason why Rageblade works is because you have a really strong tank such as a Tahm Kench 3-star, and that buys you a lot of time to get your Rageblades to stack. So if you don't have that, you want to do like a bit more of a burstier build. I probably could have just let my Bard have a red buff and one Rageblade and then triple item my Kai'Sa instead. I feel like that would be a bit more powerful because Kai'Sa, I think, deals a lot more damage because we're not going to get Bard 3. I'm actually going to make sure of that right now. I'm just going to go level up because we're in last place and try to get like a 5th or a 6th by being as strong as possible. So we level up, drop in the Zoe. It doesn't give us any more Story Weaver, but we do get Arcanist from it, which is like, okay, I probably could have put in something better or like maybe done like a roll or two to go all the way to 0 at this point. But Kai'Sa actually does like a decent amount of work because of this little lucky ricochet thing. Like, look at that. Teams are just getting demolished, which is really fortunate. And then we get completely bailed out by this encounter. So right now, when you look at our team, we are lacking frontline. We have a 2-star Neeko, which doesn't do anything because we don't have Mythic. We have this Riven 1-star, Galio 1-star. Like, come on. This is complete garbage. So we get these training dummies from Set, which is absolutely amazing because now we have a frontline. So you could say we got lucky, right? Because we got perfect encounter right here. But I argue we were decently unlucky this game. We're uncontested Bard Tahm Kench. We have not even seen a single Tahm Kench this entire game. Like, if we had Tahm Kench 1-star, maybe we'd still be like slow rolling at level 7, you know? Here on this carousel, I'm going to take the Kai'Sa because getting Kai'Sa 2 is going to be amazing. If we've been paying attention to the damage chart, you'll notice that Kai'Sa is just absolutely demolishing everything at 1-star. So just imagine what she could do at 2-star. I'm surprised no one's made that joke before. If you don't deserve me at my 1-star, you don't deserve me at my 3-star. All right, so we're gonna roll down a little bit more. Probably gonna go to a hard 0 because we're at 26 life right now. Lobby's looking a little tight. We have a couple of pairs. We have the Riven, we have the Kai'Sa, we have the Zoe now. Don't need this Lilia or Janna, and unfortunately, we just don't really see that much. I want to get rid of this Neeko, but she is like our biggest frontliner right now, ironically enough. And yeah, life does not look too good. So we're up against one of these ghostly Ink Shadow players. Very strong comp. I've been playing it a ton. It's overall very solid, but it's kind of hard to win with that comp in my opinion. But if you want to farm like 4th and 3rds, like definitely a beautiful comp for that. But look at this. The Lucky Ricochet is like sneaking past their main tanks, going onto the back line. I am definitely loving this augment, and I'm going to say it again, even though we missed Tahm Kench, you got to notice when you get lucky because there's always something in your shop to buy. We got the Xayah and the Kai'Sa, but some people might say like, oh, Xayah's lucky to hit. I can guarantee you all, Xayah's not doing anything. Xayah's useless in this patch. She just doesn't do much. Like, look at the damage chart. She's like a legendary. Sivir's doing more. That's incredible, right? So low-key, maybe a Teemo is better than Xayah before I get some sort of Dragon Lord unit. Like, obviously, the Dragon Lord buff, absolutely fantastic. We actually get 2 Lee Sins there. I end up selling them. I'm not sure if I should have kept them. It's tough to say. We really just need some frontline, so I want, like, 4 Bruiser or something like that. We finally get our first Tahm Kench. We're going to roll down probably to 0 right now because we are in desperate need of some tanks. Don't need the Zoe. We get the Galio. That's huge. What else can we get? We need the Riven, we need the Sylas. Lissandra could be used a little bit. There's a Sylas. I need to sell the Zoe. Sell the Zoe. You know, this is why they always say clear your bench, clear your mind, because having so much stuff on my bench is definitely slowing me down. We get this Nautilus. I'll play it temporarily just to get some beef out there or whatever. It does give me Mythic. Oh, wait, I don't have Tahm Kench. That's my bad. We end up having to build a Rageblade on Kai'Sa. Not my ideal item on her as her 3rd item in this build, but, you know, it is what it is. It goes back to my logic before. Like, we don't really have a frontline, so we don't have time to stack up Rageblade stacks. We'd much rather just blow them up. So, like, some sort of double IE build might be good. Maybe just, like, a Giant Slayer would be fantastic. Obviously, we can't always get things like that, but even, like, a Hextech Gunblade, not that useful. Also, this encounter was a little awkward because I know getting damage on our Kai'Sa is great, so AD probably would have been really nice, but we're really not lacking damage. We're lacking health. So, well, not health. We have a lot of health because we have bruisers, but like we're lacking tankiness because we have no tank items. So I opt to go for the health instead. Not really sure which one's entirely better. You could argue like, oh, since we have this little ricochet thing, hitting the back line that much harder might be a little bit more worth it. Normally in the late game, I do prefer to have more damage than more tankiness. Like damage definitely scales a lot better, but I feel like just buying even like a couple seconds more for my team is just going to be so huge because everything is just going to be bouncing off the entire enemy. And like, look at this fight. We're getting completely rocked, but it's not the end of the world yet. Like we're on 1 life now. Holy cow, what a close game. But we snuck out a 5th. That's more than what I can ask for given the start because we were no health. The 3-2 roll down did not stabilize us at all. And then, by the way, redemption here, it's just a very good bruiser item. And then top it all off with, we still only saw 1 Tahm Kench and it's stage 5-5. Like that's absolutely bonkers nuts. I forgot if we have 2. We have 1 on our bench. We finally get the Tahm Kench 2-star. Absolutely fantastic. And then I make a mistake here. I think I should have been playing this Aurelia much earlier. I'd argue that she might be more useful than one of our extra bruisers because I know I said we need tankiness, but Aurelia does give shred, and now that we are reliant on Kai'Sa's damage, we need the armor penetration somehow, right? But we'll try to level up, fit Aurelia in as best as we can. What's going on in this fight? We're facing off against a ghostly player, but it's their ghost board, so we're able to kind of clean this up pretty easily. Ghosts are a bit weaker in case you are new to TFT, but we might have won this anyways. It's kind of hard to tell. Ghost boards happen because there's an odd number of players, but we're facing someone real now. This is going to be a Kai'Sa player and looking like a ghostly board, so a similar board to what we just faced, but we absolutely demolished this. Holy cow. That isn't, oh wait, not demolished. It was kind of closer. It looked good at first, but then their Kai'Sa kind of cleaned up. I see another Bard in shop, but it's too late to go for Bard 3-star. I'm going to clean up my team planner a bit, going to add a Janna. Janna gives us Exalted this fight, or this game, and it gives us Invoker, so I'm going to level up, drop in... I sold the Aurelia. That was very silly of me. Alright, so I see it here. I skip in Aurelia. Okay, so that's my bad because me and my friend were kind of discussing like, oh, Aurelia is going to be useful for the shred. I opt to go for the Exalted instead. What do we get? Maybe like 12-13% bonus damage here versus 30% shred. I'm thinking the shred's better. Also, this item's a little unlucky. We needed some sort of tank item, but Bramble might seem good. However, both teams that we're going to be facing all do magic damage, so maybe I should have gotten something else. Maybe... it's tough to say what would have been better there, but all the items you didn't really want, because we already have full items on all the units we care about. Xayah is a very fake unit, as we talked about before, and we just barely squeak out this win here. This gets us a 3rd, which is absolutely bonkers. At stage 3-3, I believe it was, I thought I was going 8th because like we lost that round right after we rolled a bit, and then we had no econ, no nothing. I was pretty depressed this whole game, but luckily my friend kind of kept me in a semi-positive attitude. We're gonna face off against this Dryad player. What comp is he run? Oh, Invoker player. Oh, it's the Invoker player we were talking about before who hit Lilia very early, and now they have Azir too. So this is a very strong board. Or not very strong, but decently strong. They should have like 3 items on there, Lilia and Azir, but I'm sure they had their reasons for why they don't have that. And we barely squeaked this one out. Look at how low our Kai'Sa... Oh my god. They also have Combat Caster and mana, Cybernetic Mana with Invokers, so they're just going to be getting so much Combat Caster value. I finally get the Janna. That's going to be nice. Gives us Dragon Lord. Dragon Lord's great because it gives us more attack speed and it bursts them a little bit, and since we don't need a long fight, like that little burst damage is going to come out clutch, especially since we're hitting their backline with all these ricochets. So the value you get from this Dragon Lord is bonkers, you know, absolutely nuts. All right, so we're facing the same person again, and we barely squeaked that one out. Holy cow, these are some close fights. Unfortunately though, on this carousel, this person's going for Annie 3, so I have to take this Annie. It's so stupid because I'm just down an item because of that. This person, I swear, is like, had a very lucky game. I mean, they hit Lilia when they're forcing Invokers, or like, it doesn't get better than that, right? I'm not trying to like demean them or anything. Like, I get lucky too, but I just want to point it out in this specific game, like, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, you know? They're able to get a 3rd item on their Lilia. We unfortunately just have a Negatron Cloak, and these fights are so close. It's actually incredible, this game. I am gonna roll down a bit here because it's like pretty much the last round. There's this round and then one more. Like, I can't get to level 9 anyways, or level 10. So you might as well just roll down. Maybe you live a little longer. Maybe I shouldn't have rolled down. I don't really know. It's kind of close, but I'm like getting Janatu, trying to get the Xayah2. Janatu doesn't do that much. I do make a mistake here. I sell the Annie. That was completely stupid of me. But we're just going to make this Heavenly Crest. Why not? Like, what else are we going to do with this? It doesn't give additional stats, I don't think. But it really sucks being down an item. But this person is painting Annie on their bench. And that is just really rough. But as you can see, they don't even need to paint because I think they found Annie during the roll down, but it didn't complete on time. Yeah, look, they're 2 silver ones. He just gets Annie 3. That's absolutely silly. And we just get rocked because Annie 3 is very powerful, but that's not the point of this game that I'm showing you. The point is, like, just because you get a little unlucky, no Tahm Kenches until like stage 5, you could still make something happen. There's always going to be something that shows up in your shop that helps, and it wasn't the Xayah either. We could have just done Teemo. It was mainly like the Kai'Sa that kind of stabilized us. But I hope you all learned something from this game. I hope you also enjoyed watching it. Have you tried Lucky Ricochet yourself? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next video.